So thank you everybody for taking the time to join us tonight. We're hoping after this webinar, you'll be more informed about how the application process works for the BWSI Summer Institute. So introductions, who we are. We don't have a picture of Sigrid with the two of us yet. That will come next time. So I am Lisa Kelly. You probably get an abundance of emails from me. So I'm sure you've seen my name. I am the program manager for the BWSI Summer Institute, and Joel, myself, and Sigrid work all very closely together to run the program throughout the summer. Joel, do you want to go?
Sure. I've been working at Lincoln Lab for well over 30 years now, and have been at campus at MIT for the last 5 years, co-teaching a design course, working with the makerspace that we have there, managing that, and working with faculty, developing collaborations. I will point out in the picture on the Charles River that you see us below there, the little yellow boats are actually autonomous maritime vessels that are used in a class at MIT that teach maritime autonomy, of course. So that was a fun picture. It was a super day out that day, and it's some of the fun that we get to have at MIT. Sigrid, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Sigrid Flender. I recently graduated from UMass Amherst, and I get to join BeaverWorks here as an administrative assistant. Last summer, I was an intern, so I know a little bit about the courses, and I'm happy to be here. And I look forward to working with you guys throughout the summer program.
All right, so you've registered online for BWSI, so now what? So if you're here, that means you've received the application and are most likely eligible for the summer program. So eligibility, you have to be attending a high school in the United States, and this has to be an in-person high school, not an online school. You have to currently be in grades 9, 10, or 11, and you have to reside in the United States for the duration of the summer program. So if you are accepted into the program and then it is found out that you are not in the United States, you will be asked to leave the program. So this is a very important aspect of our program, that you're in the United States. We do a lot of teamwork, a lot of, working together with people from all over the countries and the time zones in the United States is hard enough to manage, never mind if you're overseas. And also, some of the classes get stuff shipped to them, and we cannot ship outside of the United States. So you will not get a bill of material to buy your own things. You just won't be able to be part of the program.
I will add briefly on top of Lisa here, while we're encourage 9th, 10th, and 11th graders to register for the online courses, 90+% of our accepted students are 11th graders. And not to discourage the 9th graders or 10th graders from applying, but take this as a chance to get familiar with material and come back next year and apply again with more information.
So what do you need to do now? So you need to work on the online course prerequisites. If you sign up for an online course, once you get in, one of the very first things you will see in each course is what must be done in order for your summer application to be accepted for review. Every course has a different requirement, and some courses have modules in other courses that need to be done. So if you are doing the race car course, for example, you'll have to do some Python modules as well. So it is all spelled out in the beginning of every course. So go back and read it, and you should see what needs to be done by March 31st. Join the online Piazza, again, at the beginning of every course. It tells you how to get into all those Piazza classes. Go in, help other students with their questions, meet other students. Piazza is a very, very important part of the BWSI experience. So you really should make sure you're a part of it. So the application is due March 31st. Midnight Eastern time is the deadline. At that point, the application locks and closes, and we don't have much to do with extending it. So just do your best to get it in. If all the items that are due with the application, your teacher's recommendation, your proof of grade, are not turned in, the application will not be reviewed. There is an exception, and we'll get to that a little bit later on with the teacher recommendation, but we'll do that when we go into teacher recommendations. Your application is not going to be reviewed, considered if it's incomplete. So we're going to stress throughout this whole thing. Take your time. You have a month. Use the month. Take your time. Go through it multiple times. Have somebody else put eyes on it, to review, and make sure it is complete if you want to make sure your application is considered. So, application overview. There are 6 sections to the applications, and all of the sections are required. Most of the fields are required field. There's a red asterisk after the question. That means it's a required field. I will say probably 98% of the application are required fields. So there's not very many questions you can skip. The form has logic. So when you first look at the form, you might see a question, then all of a sudden that question disappears. It's because based on the question before that, how you answered it, we now no longer need you to answer the next question, and it'll move you on to the next one that you're required to answer. So don't worry if you see questions disappearing or appearing. There's logic based in the form, and that is playing a huge part. One of the logic questions is, have you ever participated in another MIT or Lincoln Lab program? If you check no, you just move on. If you check yes, another question is going to come up and say, what program did you participate in? So things like that are throughout the form. Do not complete more than one application by using another email. We ask for a unique email for a reason. We do not want you to submit multiple. We don't want you to go in and take a test run with the application and then use a different email and do it again. You can save the application. So there's no reason to do that test run. We use your numeric unique ID to correlate your course grades with your application. So in most cases, this is also your Edly username. There are very few cases where your unique ID is not your Edly username. But if you are one of those unique cases, make sure you provide your Edly username so we can correlate your grades with your application. And we also correlate your teacher's rec with your unique ID. So it's a very important number to have. Everybody should have it. There should be no questions. When you first filled out the online registration, it was one of the first emails you got back. So another important thing, this should be filled out by the student. If we receive requests from students asking us to change their name because it defaulted to their parents, our assumption is the parents filled it out and not a student, and most likely we're not going to review it. So again, it goes back to really checking over the application and making sure you take your time. Review your answers completely. Unfortunately, we do not have the time to make changes to your application. So however you submit your application is how it's going to be reviewed. It's very important for you to know. You can say, I put the wrong school in, I put the wrong state, I put the wrong name. We aren't changing any of it. So how you submit your application is how we're going to have everybody look at it. Next, unless you have something, Joel.
No, but I will emphasize that you see 3 people in front of you. These are the 3 people that manage the entire program. Our director, Bob Shin, is there too, but he is the director and he is not taking part in this management of the students. So 3 people are managing this whole program, as well as other programs are running concurrently with what's going on here at MIT. So that is why we're emphasizing that you need to do this and take responsibility for filling this out correctly, because we've got a very small team here, as we said in the FAQ, and we need you to be correct when you submit things the first time. Okay.
So cost. So new this year, we are charging a fee for 2024. This fee applies regardless if it's an in-person program or a virtual program. So any family that makes $150,000 or more, the program cost will be $1,750. Families making less of that, the program will be free. As part of that fee, there is no housing. That is the fee to run the course without housing. BWSI does not offer, nor can we help find you housing. Housing is your responsibility. If you are out of state and you want to come to an in-person program, we are not answering emails about, can you help us find housing? Do you have any housing options? We are out of it. There is nothing we know of, no secrets. There's no housing advice we can give you. So BWSI will verify the income of all who apply who check the below box of $150,000. So if you check that on your application and you're accepted into the summer program, then we are going to ask for your family to verify that income.
I do see that there's one question regarding the waiver. We may have to check the logic on the form. If people are saying that they don't need a waiver, there may be additional questions that are being asked. We'll have to see if we need to correct that on the form.
Okay.
But
all right, so now we're going to get into the actual sections of the application. So I see somebody has raised their hand. Why don't you ask your question in the Q&A? That's the best place to do that. And so student information is very, basic information. First name, last name, your phone number, your address, your unique ID number, where you're located, your birth, your gender, demographic information, proof of grade. We need current year proof of grade. So transcript, report card, photo of school ID. It has to have the date on it that is this year. And then the question, have you attended a prior BWSI, Lincoln Lab, or MIT program? When you get to this question, do not check yes if you're doing the online prerequisite program. That is not what we're asking here. We just want to know if you've attended another major program that we have. The online program is a prerequisite for this. It doesn't mean you've attended a BWSI program in the sense that we're asking here.
we are concurrently running a spring program. Someone asked if they should mention that. If they are currently in the spring outreach program, they can enter that information.
Right. All right, so I'm throwing this in here because this is something that gets a lot of people, and I'm finding that a lot of students don't necessarily know how to write their address. So the first part of this question is, most only read part of this question. Unique ID provided by BWSI. In the lighter words, it says, do not add underscore BWX to your unique ID. Lots of extra work is created for the people who don't read the question fully. So the question doesn't just say, what is your unique ID? It says, what is your unique ID? And do not add underscore BWX. Make sure you're reading the entire questions. There are sections like this in every part of the application that has a call out that tells you something else. So read the entire part of the question. For address, I left this in here. We took out address too, but I'm leaving this in here so people understand how to fill out an address. So address 1, that is your actual street number and your street name. So BeaverWorks is 300 Technology Square. That's address 1. If you see address line 2 on anything, you're all probably about to start applying for colleges. The most likely there is an address line 2. That is if you live in an apartment, a suite, a building number. That is all that goes there. You do not rewrite your address. You just put your apartment number, your suite number, your building number. And then city goes where city, state goes where state, zip code, and country. Address 1 does not get 300 Technology Square to Suite 200, Cambridge, Mass. 02139, United States. There's a spot when you do this for everything. So, little life hack on how to fill out an address, and this will save us a lot of time as well. Section 2 is the course selection. This lists all of the courses that we currently are offering, whether they're virtual or in person. So you will pick your first choice, which should be the course that you're doing online. We're always going to try to accommodate your first choice, but sometimes you'll be accepted into a second or third choice. You are only required to have completed the designated online coursework for your first choice. So don't worry, like, all right, I'm going to pick for a second and third here, so I'm going to do a little bit of everything. Don't do that. Concentrate on what your first choice is. And then if you get accepted into a different course, at that point, you are now required to start that course, and you have until June 25th to complete that course. Some courses have different dates. It is all very clear. Most of them are June 25th, but some have June 15th or a little earlier in the month of June. So right now, our in-person courses are autonomous underwater vehicle, autonomous race car Grand Prix, unmanned air systems, synthetic aperture radar, autonomous drone racing, embedded security and hardware hacking, and brand new this year, we're having a class on e-textiles and wearable technology. Our virtual courses will be basics of ASICs, autonomous cognitive assistance, cyber operations, medlytics, microelectronics, quantum software, remote sensing, and serious game development with AI. Again, we will not have housing. So if you are selected an in-person course, only select that if you know you have housing already here. Do not select it now and say, I'll be fine, I'll get housing later. Only select it if you know you have housing. Section 3 is your parent/guardian information. Basic information, their name, their contact information, your family income. So this information is not used in the application process, only to decide what families need to pay the fee. It's also used to help us secure grants to keep the cost of the program down for all of the students. So $17.50 isn't actually what it costs us to run this program. It costs us a lot more, but because we have secured grants, we're able to offer it to you at that cost. So a lot of grants ask for financial information. So if we don't have the current information, we are not very well equipped to answer those questions to get more grants. We ask for your parents' military status. The question is on here twice because some families will have two parents that were in the military. So parent 1, you answer it, and then parent 2, you answer it. If you only have a parent 1, for parent 2, you just select not applicable. Section 4, academic information. So I know early on I was seeing a lot of GPA questions. So hopefully we can answer them now. One of the questions is, does your school have a GPA scale? Yes or no? Some students are saying they have 2 different schools. So it's so select no there. I mean, it's an easy thing. If you're in 2 different schools and you have 2 different GPAs, just select no there and make it easier on yourself. If you select yes, then you'll get questions about your GPA. The highest level of math completed. This is what you will have completed and passed by the end of June. We ask for 2 different maths that you're going to have completed and passed by the end of June. Some courses are math heavy, so it's very important that we know what classes you have finished and done to see if you're going to fit in that class. Programming languages, we only want what you could sit in front of a computer and actually be comfortable using. We don't want you to check Python if you looked at it one time that's not comfortable using it. We only want you to select the languages you are truly comfortable using. And again, this isn't to rule you out of the program. This is so we know what we need when we select students to get them up to speed for the start of the program. So there are short answer questions. These are meant to be short answers. We will not answer questions about I can only fit 100 characters. We know we set those character limits. We need to keep everything concise and short so it's easy to go through. So be concise, be short, and be comprehensive, right? The answers are limited to 75 to 200 characters based on the questions. Really, this is what is important and relevant to you. We will not accept any material via email. Any additional items sent to us via email, we will not be responding to those emails, and we will not be adding them to your application in any way. So if it does not fit in your application, there is nothing we can do about it. So section 5, I saw questions on teacher recs in here too. So the teacher or slash mentor will not be able to submit your recommendation without the student's unique ID number. So we always get a teacher putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We can't match that to a student. So if they don't have your unique ID number, to us, it looks like you did not get a teacher recommendation, and we can't match it to a student. At that point, your rec is considered incomplete. For students who are alums who had signed up a previous year, make sure you give your teacher the right unique ID number. It is the first one you received. It is not the one you received from signing this year. Again, it goes to that first unique ID number you received is most likely what you're using to do the courses. So if you give us the wrong unique ID number, when we go to pull your course grades, we're not going to find any grades for you. So make sure you're using the unique ID number all across the board. There's a link in the application for your teacher to submit their recommendation. We don't share the recommendations with students. They are private correspondence between us and the recommender. We want one teacher recommendation per student. They're due April 7th. If we receive more than one, we only look at one, and generally we look at the latest one that was received. The teacher must rate your student on the following: your academic achievement, independence, ability to work in a team, disciplined work habits, and creativity. This is a scale that they have to do, so it's pretty quick. And then they have to write a brief statement about your academic and personal characteristics. So it's not really long. This is not a college recommendation, so it really shouldn't take a teacher that long. That being said, at this point, you have a month to get it from your teacher. So you should be asking them now, so it's not waiting to the last minute.
Lisa, for this
And I'll
section
jump
as well.
into go ahead, Sigrid.
Yeah, for this section as well, there was a Q&A asking, should teacher recommendation form include the underscore BWX at the end of their unique IDs?
No. And I believe it says it on there.
Okay.
And I think the also relevant is the making sure that if their Edley username is not the unique ID number, they should include their Edley username too, so that we can correlate all that data together. Right, Lisa?
Yep. Yeah. So whatever you put on your application, so if you have an Edley username and not a unique ID number, that is what you should give your teacher. Okay.
I think another Q&A that was in there was and I think Lisa addressed this. It is both a series of checkboxes and rating scales based on some of the items that Lisa listed off here, as well as a short essay question that teachers will be asked to provide as part of that recommendation. So Lisa is right. It is fairly short to do and hopefully not a heavy lift for your teachers. Very busy teachers that are have many other things to do besides recommendations. So we try to make it easy for them.
Another question. Sorry, Joel. Another question that was asked was, does this need to be a current teacher?
No.
No, we do ask that you put somebody that's been in your life recently.
Yeah,
You
it should be
know.
someone who knows you well, right? That's really the
Yep.
important thing.
Yeah. Student essays. So we're giving you a quick peek at the essays here. Again, each essay is limited to 2,000 characters. This allows for 300 to 500 words. That is more than enough to answer these essay questions. All essays are being checked against ChatGPT programs. If you have found to wrote your essay using ChatGPT, you are disqualified from the application process. There is no appeal. You are out of the running. So we want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from AI. So let us hear from you. Um, Explain why you chose your first choice BWSI program and how participating in the course in the program will support your academic and career goals. What is exciting you about this field? BWSI brings people with diverse backgrounds together to collaborate, from tackling the world's biggest challenge to lending a helping hand. Describe one way you have collaborated with others to learn from them, with them, or contribute to community together. And the last essay, how has the world you come from, including your opportunities, barriers, experience, and challenges, shaped your dreams and aspirations? And then after the essays, there is an additional comment. This is 100 characters or less. Um, this is just anything else you want us to know in this very short area. Again, um, we are not adding anything to your application. So if you can't fit it in this application somewhere, there's nothing we're going to do. And we have so many emails and so many other things happening. We are not starting tomorrow responding to emails that are in part of this webinar. This webinar is going to be sent to everybody and it's going to be posted on the website. Where the questions are answered here. So if you write to us saying, hey, here's my resume, can you put it with my, you're not going to get a response from us. Hey, I didn't put this on there. You're not going to get a response from us. And so one of the exception for is for teacher recommendations. So we will reach out to you one time. Once the applications have come in, if we see you do not have a teacher recommendation by April 8th, we will let you know that. We'll give you one chance to get it done, because we do understand sometimes something happens and the teacher may not be able to get it in. So that is the only exception that we will give for your application not being complete. But you do have a lot of time to get it done. So it is truly up to you, and you're all in high school, to follow through and make sure these things get done. So the last section of the application is your last chance. So this is your last chance to review the data you entered. Again, take this time to go back over your application. Check to make sure that an autofill function on your browser has put the right data in. We just can't stress enough the importance of not just hitting submit. We have our only recourse if you hit submit is to delete your application. So once you hit submit, if you need to make changes, the only recourse we have is to delete it. So that's a lot of work for you guys to do, for us to just delete it and you have to start it all over again. So really important that you take your time. Part of the last section is our privacy statement, and it's just essentially telling you and your parents how we use your data. And then your student signature. And the signature is just stating that everything you supplied was true. And if it's found out to be false, your application will be disqualified. And then If you are under 18, it requires a parent or guardian signature. And the same thing, just stating that everything that was supplied was true. And if it's false, the application will be disqualified. And is that it, Joel?
Yes.
Yes. So we have 130 questions.
Woo! I
So,
have sorted them
okay.
by upvote. So, and this is another way of encouraging students to upvote questions if something's already been asked as opposed to typing it again. I think the highest upvote right now is regarding the detecting chat GPT written essays. So, and I will say that MIT and BWSI takes academic integrity very seriously, very seriously. And if you're not following the instructions, that is reason enough to get removed from the program. And in terms of getting your essay flagged falsely as a chat BTT, there will be a discussion with you and your parents if this should happen, right? We take it very seriously and we understand that some of the algorithms can be inaccurate, but we try very hard to be serious about it and to take it seriously and treat the essays seriously. So while I'm being vague on the answer, it's really tough to be definitive and give percentages or accuracies in this case. But those discussions are done with parents, not with just the student and us. So I want you to know that, and I guess just to emphasize that we take that academic integrity very seriously. And when we say we want you to write the essay, we mean it. So I hope that answers most of those questions about AI generated essays.
And the other thing about that I will add is um, if it comes through one checker as AI generated, we will try a different one as well. We're not just stopping at one, we will try a different one as well. So write your own essay. That's all we can ask. Is the application a rolling decision? No. All decisions for the applications go out April 30th. So there's no more acceptances or not acceptances after that point. So your applications are due March 31st. We take the month to go through everything with all of our instructors, and then April 30th, everybody gets a decision one way or another. What courses are connected to what classes? So we did answer this at the beginning of every online course. It tells you exactly what courses you need. Every course is named exactly what we call them. So when you get online, you should see an autonomous cognitive assistance course. Go in there at the very beginning, it'll tell you what you need and how to get into Piazza.
There were some questions as well about spring program, and if they take a course in the spring, should they apply for the same course in the summer?
So the spring program is a, a very beginning course. So you're going to get much more in the summer than you would from the spring. The spring is kind of an overall encompassing of this is what we do in this course type thing. Whereas the summer is, intense 4-week program. So what we did leave out of those slides, which we need to add, is this is an intense 4-week program. It is Monday through Friday. Virtual, it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. In person, it is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That is non-negotiable. It is 4 weeks long. It is 160 hours. That final week, the in-person event is on Saturday and the virtual event is on Sunday. All the in-person students have to attend the virtual event as well. So the program does not get over until August 4th. If you cannot commit to those 4 weeks, this is not the right program for you. In those 4 weeks, you're doing a lot of teamwork. There's a lot of soft skills. You're You get lectures in the morning, in the afternoon. It's hands-on learning what you've done, using what you've learned in the morning. So if you cannot be there, then your team is the one that's suffering. And then ultimately, that's going to affect your team's final project. So if you know you can't commit to 4 weeks, if you're going to be here for the first week and then you're going overseas for the second week, that counts as being out of the country. So if you're not going to be in the United States, you already have vacation booked to be out of the country, do not apply to the program. Any other questions that we didn't answer?
So to kind of
we'll go
address,
through all of these as well and answer them and put them with the webinar.
I guess for prior programs, people are also asking if the Create Challenge and the spring and fall program are considered prior programs.
Yeah, so if you look at the application, it gives you a list of prior programs. So those should be on the list. And there is also another spot as well.
so
So
questions regarding the acceptance rate of the program.
I was just going to answer.
Not going to answer those.
Yeah.
It depends on how many people are applying, how many people fill out the acceptance form, and based on how many students how many courses we have, because that varies every year, how many courses we actually have. So we just don't answer those, the acceptance rate type questions.
We can say it is a competitive program,
Yes.
and that's hopefully you do your best on your application.
Completing more courses did not necessarily mean completing more courses does not improve your chances of being accepted. I'll add that too. That was another question that was upvoted.
Yeah.
We get that every year as well. I believe that's also in the FAQ.
Yeah, so what we do is look at your first choice and look at the courses that go along with your first choice. So if you do 12 of the 15 courses, we're not even looking that you did the other 10 courses. We're looking at the courses you did that are part of your application.
The grades, right? The other related to courses and your course progress. You'll see on Edly that there's a total course progress. That metric is misleading. We use the grades on your Edly course for performance. And in terms of the percentage completion of the course, while some courses say 50% because they want to add more content in June or make more content available in June, check with your individual course about how much the instructor wants completed before the application deadline. That's the most important thing we can say. We know it's roughly 50%, and that's what we tell students, but really it's up to the individual course instructor to set those thresholds for completion prior to the application deadline.
And then another question was, does getting your application in early give you a better chance? No, we don't look at the applications until April 1st. So don't be quick to get it in because we're not starting to look at them until April 1st.
And I will also recommend don't wait till midnight, 11 p.m. on the 31st, because the form stack server is only so much CPU. And we've had problems in the past with the CPU. People got bogged down submitting forms at the last second, literally. And there were a lot of emails on the next morning saying I couldn't submit till 12:01. So don't be that person.
When we said that most students are in 11th grade, we mean they're currently in 11th grade, not going into 11th grade. But, we do advertise this program is for rising seniors. So that means you're currently in 11th grade. We do sometimes accept rising juniors. So if you're in 9th, 10th, or 11th grade, I encourage you to apply. We don't want you not to apply, but just know that the first spots go to those rising seniors. Does picking an in-person versus virtual course change your acceptance chances? No. No. Um, every course is different. Like Joel said earlier, we don't really go into acceptance rates because every course is different. Um, Somebody wrote, "How do I contact my course instructor?" Piazza. And then I also saw somebody said, and Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody said they noticed some courses are using Discord, not Piazza. I was not aware of that, right? I'm pretty sure.
Race car is using
Oh,
Discord.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, and again, like many things at MIT, there are always exceptions to the rule. In this case, Chris Lai, the instructor, prefers to use Discord because he's got much more automation set up for Discord for the ticketing system and prefers to use that. And we allow him to do that because it's what's working for him.
Yeah. So that goes back to, how do I contact my course instructor? Piazza is the way to do it. Every course should let you know when the office hours are. The purpose of Piazza and Discord is so you help each other, right? All of our instructors have full-time jobs doing other things. This is not the only thing they're doing. These are researchers in the real world doing real world work, and they're taking the month of the program to teach you this. But before that, they're doing their jobs. So because of that, we have Piazza and Discord so you guys can help one another. But the instructors are looking at their assigned office hours and then answering anything that you guys have not helped one another with. So get on Piazza, get on Discord, and that is the best way to get some help.
The question about teacher recommendation, how heavily is the teacher recommendation weighed in the application process? And I think the grades, your teacher recommendation are all weighed as important. It's really difficult to judge percentage-wise which one is weighed heavily. We have lots of great recommendations from teachers for individual students. And so it's important, right? When we see a recommendation that's not great, or mediocre or not personalized, that takes a factor into our decision, but it's not the only decision that comes into play.
Yeah, we are looking at all of the applications holistically. So we look at them from beginning to end as a total, including the recommendation in the coursework. So there's no one thing that is going to definitely keep you out of the program. It's a holistic approach.
All right.
Mhm.
When someone asked which courses are math heavy, I will have to say almost all are math heavy. So there's some data analysis, or algebra, or some calculus even involved in almost all the courses that you have to understand the algorithms behind the data. For us, it's very important for the students to understand the algorithms behind these decisions, whether it's in software or being made by computers. And so that's where that math comes in. So
Somebody asked if the autonomous underwater vehicle course has no instructors. There's no information about instructors on Edley. Our instructor for that actually was visiting family overseas and has been overseas for a few months. We do have an instructor. So as soon as we can, we'll get the information from them up there.
some questions about the online courses, and just to clarify, when we say online courses, there are online prerequisite courses that are hosted on the Edley platform. And there are also virtual courses and in-person courses as part of the summer program. To be clear, right, when you say online courses, you have to specify whether you're meeting the prerequisite courses or whether you're meeting the in-person, or excuse me, the virtual summer courses. Every class size is anywhere from 20 to 35 students. For the prerequisites, we accept all students because we're trying to encourage all students to have a chance to learn. So the prerequisites, we're accepting everyone. And so there could be hundreds of students in, say, the CogWorks course. And I think there are hundreds of students in the CogWorks course, in the prerequisite online course. So I think when you ask questions about how many students are accepted, you know, for the summer, it's going to be typically between 20 and 35 students in each class. We're broken up into teams when you actually work on the program. For the prerequisites, we're trying to accept as many students as possible to give them the opportunity.
Yeah. And somebody said, is it possible to switch top choice programs? So again, that goes to once your application is submitted, whatever you have for your top choice is what we're looking at. We will not make changes once your application is submitted.
So that is the purpose of being able to jump around in the EDLI courses, in the prerequisite courses, so that you can get a flavor, an idea of what course that you'd like to pursue deeper, into more information, more research on. And that's why we make it easy to jump between courses and participate in as many courses as you want, so that when you get to the application, you can pick truly what your favorite course is and not have to go back and second guess yourself.
So another housing question. If you get into the in-person program at MIT, you need to make your own arrangements. We have nothing to do with housing if you're out of state. BWSI, if you get accepted, the acceptance paperwork says on an in-person course, we are responsible for the student from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Before that and after that, we are not responsible for that student. We don't know where you're staying. We don't ask where you're staying. That is between you and your family, and we cannot find any housing for anybody. Right. So I think we can just take the rest of these questions and go through them and answer them. So there are a lot of questions. And we are actually in the middle of launching our spring program. So the webinar will probably go up first, and then these questions will join it sometime next week.
Can you identify where the webinar will be posted so students know?
Joel?
My first impression is to put it on the FAQ page.
Yeah.
And though we haven't discussed it before now.
Yeah, that's what I would think. It's going to go on the FAQ page, and we're, if possible, we can send the recording out to everybody who got the application.
Yeah, that's fine. And because we'll post it and make it a link on our YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
But to emphasize too, right? We have spent a lot of work fleshing out the FAQ page. It is meant to be searched, not read. And so pick a one or two keywords and search for those keywords, and that should help you find the information you want. Certainly, like any FAQ, you know, it's only so good. It's not perfect. And I see even here tonight that there are some questions that probably aren't covered in the FAQ, which is a good thing that we had the webinar, so that we can update the FAQ and provide this link and questions to that type of thing. I think we'll provide a link separately to the Q&A document with the answered questions. Will be a separate link, and then we'll have this recording separately as well.
Joel, do you know off the bat what the YouTube channel is?
Search for BWSI Summer Institute on YouTube, and we will definitely pop up.
Yeah.
We have enough followers that we have our vanity URL, as they say.
Yep.
I
Okay.
think I'm guessing Sigrid is searching it right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna put our YouTube channel in the chat so everybody can see it there.
Okay, great. Great. Well, it was great to talk to you all. There's been some amazing questions that we definitely didn't even think about. So glad we hosted this. Sorry, my video was off. My Wi-Fi was acting funny. So we will post this as soon as we can and send it out to all, and the questions will join next week. Great. Thank you so much.